Hi, within this lecture, we're going to learn a concept called JSON. And we will do this in order to send our data efficiently. So let me show you what I mean. So I'm running my listener and I'm running my backdoor, and I can just connect to my victim machine and I can run some commands, right? So if I do dir, I got the result back in here in the previous lectures. And as you can see, we have a text file in here. It's called python.txt. So if I open it, it consists of our nodes. So it tells us where our Python interpreters are located in our computer. Of course, maybe you don't have this node. You can just create a text file in order to test this, and you don't have to test at all, but I'm going to show you as an example. So if I say type python.txt in here, it will show me the content of this Python file. As you can see here, it's the equivalent of cat command in Kali Linux. And if type doesn't work, you can always say more python.txt, but it will work. So there is nothing wrong here, right? I'm sending the command and I'm getting the result back. But there might be a problem if this file is actually bigger. So let me show you what I mean. I'm just copying and pasting this information in here in order to have a large txt file. You can just copy and paste anything you want in here. Just make sure that it has a lot of characters inside. So it will be more like a 1 megabyte, 2 megabyte, 3 megabyte file. Okay? So it has to have a lot of text inside. So let me try to get this file now by typing type python.txt. It will still show me some of the content, but as you can see, it's now cut in half, or cut in, I don't know, 1/3. If I hit enter again, it will show me the rest. If I hit enter again, it will show me the rest until it reaches to the end of this file. And as you can see, since we got the end of this file, it stopped, and I hit enter and nothing happens. I kinda screwed up this connection because of that error. Okay, so when I have this big file in here, it may mess up my connection. So we have to have a better way to send and receive data. So why is this happening? Because we are using a TCP connection and we are using a SOAK stream, as you might remember. So let me go back to my code here, and when we connect, as you can see, we receive 1024 kilobytes, and we use SOAK stream in order to send and receive that data. And stream is actually a way to send data with streaming the input. So we are pushing the input inside of a pipe, okay, supposedly, and until it reaches to the end, we are just pushing for more information. We are not sending this data in a one single packet, okay? We are sending it with a stream. We are sending it unpacked. So it isn't very efficient. So in order to overcome this problem, we're going to use something called JSON or JSON, however you want to pronounce it. Let me Google it and show you how it works. So I'm in json.org, and JSON actually stands for JavaScript Object Notation. So here's an example of JavaScript Object Notation. It has a certain way to display the objects, display the tags, datas, whatever we are working with, and we can process these datas according to the JSON JavaScript Object Notation. Remember Scapy? We got some layers in Scapy, right? And we process the information that we got from Scapy according to these layers. And that's what we're going to do with JSON. And this actually doesn't work only in Python, but also in other programming languages as well. Like you can use JSON in Java. You can use JSON in Swift when you deal with mobile programming. You can use JSON with most of the programming languages. So it is very easy to actually implement JSON in our Python code because, as you might guess, there is a pre-built library for that. And we're going to use that module in order to just replace the send and receive things in here. So I'm going to say import JSON, okay? And that's it. It's a very easy thing to do. Then I'm going to replace this .send and .receive methods. I'm going to create two separate functions, one for sending data and one for receiving. So first, let me create this JSON send method in here. We have to say self, and under this JSON send method, I'm going to send our data. And in order to do that, we're going to use JSON library. So I will replace this later on, and rather than send, I will say self.json send. And rather than returning self.myConnection.receive, I will say return self.json receive. And it will send the data in one single packet. So I'm going to give data as an input because we can get this from command input down below. So in order to work with JSON library, I will create a JSON object in here, and I will call this JSON data, and it will derive from JSON library, and we will say dump as. So within this dump as, we're going to use our data. So we will get this data later on from command input, and we will send this command input with JSON, JavaScript Object Notation. And in order to send this, I will say self.myConnection.send, okay? And rather than just sending out the text, just sending out the command input, I will send JSON data. Now, since I'm sending JSON data in here, I'm getting the raw input from the user, okay? And I can reach that raw input from here, and rather than saying self.myConnection.send, I can now say self.json send. And the data that I'm going to send is the command input itself. So here, as you can see, I connected everything together. In here, I'm getting the input. In here, I'm sending the input with using this method. Now I have to do the same thing for receiving as well. So let me do this quickly. I'm going to define another method in here, and I will call this JSON receive this time in order to replace this line in here. So def JSON receive, okay, and this will have the self again, and this won't have an input right now because it's going to take input from the connection. So let me show you what I mean. I will call this JSON data again and say self.myConnection.receive. I'm going to receive this like 1024 kilobytes once more. I'm not changing that value. So if I say JSON.loads, okay, loads, it will get the data and display it, process it for us, and it will just return this JSON.loads, okay? And now I can say return self.json receive, and it will just take the input and process it for us. So we're gonna have to do that for our backdoor as well. So let us stop here and work on that on the next lecture.